Professor Nordell here, and I'd like to talk to you about how I approach the creative process. This is a scene at Minuteman National Historical Park in Concord, Massachusetts. It was across this bridge that one of the first battles of the Revolutionary War was fought between the British soldiers and Minutemen. This sculpture at the National Park portrays one of these Minutemen. He has one hand on his plow, the other on his gun, so this farmer is ready to fight at a moment's notice. What I really wanted to do was to create a block print of this sculpture because it was so powerful. So while I was at the National Park, I had my sketchbook with me, and I did a quick drawing of the sculpture to help me to look at it more clearly. So the first stage of the creative process is to plan and sketch and think and look at other art for inspiration to get ready to create what you want. With block printing, you have a piece of linoleum and you use tools to carve out what you want to print. When you make a print, the image that you carve into the linoleum needs to be reversed because you put ink on it and press it on a piece of paper. So I reversed the image of the Minuteman. I also converted the image to black and white because when I was going to draw the image on the linoleum, I just wanted to focus on the tones. To facilitate doing the drawing, I drew a grid on the printout of the photograph, and I drew a same size grid on the piece of linoleum. So square by square, I could draw on the linoleum block the image. Now that I was done with that first stage of the creative process, I could get into doing some creating. I could test some techniques, I could have fun, I could produce art. And so what I did is, based on the drawing, I carved out the image of the Minuteman. To make a print, I put ink on this roller and then roll the ink onto the linoleum block and then press that inked block onto paper to make the print. Well, I made that first print, and that brought me into the third stage of the creative process, where it's a chance to, realize maybe you made some mistakes. It's a chance to make a mess, to really get into what you're doing. I showed the print to my wife, and she felt like the eyes looked sort of like a raccoon. They didn't look like eyes. I felt at the base of the statue there, I used a different kind of tool and made some deep cuts, and it really looked terrible. So I had some obstacles to overcome. So first I corrected the eyes by carving off a little bit more and making a print, carving off a little bit more and getting it closer to where I wanted it. Now I wanted to fix that area in the bottom, which I wasn't fond of with those deep cuts as I mentioned. And also I felt the background needed work to emphasize the proud, strong Minuteman. So you can see here on my desk I've been carving, I've made a mess. I have some printouts here of some other artwork for inspiration. This is a print from Pablo Picasso, and I noticed that he really carved out a lot of the background area which emphasized his main subject. And so I tried carving out, and then I carved out more and made the whole background uniformly carved out. And I also was able to carve out and essentially remove those big cuts at the bottom that I wasn't fond of. Now it was time to make my prints. I used blue and red ink for the red, white, and blue theme, and then cleaned off my roller on top of one of my inspirational images. I then tried some other colors that I didn't think worked that well, still experimenting, trying different things. And then I did one print with just black ink that was a little bit light, and then finally it all came together. The right amount of ink. I'd resolved the problem with the background, with that area at the bottom that I didn't like. So that leaves me here at the fourth stage of the creative process. I have some work to exhibit. I've created this presentation. I've reflected on all the stages of the creative process that brought me to this point, and I've learned a lot, and it's prepared me to work on my next project at a higher level.